We've made it to quadrant number 4, the committed action quadrant. From a clinical frame of reference, committed action can be a little bit trickier to understand than we think. The word action is pretty self-explanatory. It's the behavior that the individual is going to take. The word committed can be a little bit misunderstood or difficult to explain. I explain the word committed as doing something that you know to be important or that you believe in that is not contingent on the outcome or an expectation. It's done because you inherently believe and know it to be something important to you, and whatever comes out of that action is essentially extra or in addition to knowing the importance of doing the action first. This is going to be where you want to spend a little bit of time making sure that they understand committed action. This will be similar to what you did in quadrants 1 and quadrants 2 as you defined the word values and explained cognitive fusion. Committed action is a similar term and concept in ACT therapy that a client really begins to need to understand for themselves in order to grasp the bigger picture of this model. This can be done by giving the client several different examples. Let's go through a couple. One example that I frequently give is going to work. Now, there's a difference between going to work because I have to and going to work because I'm able to connect it to I'm helping to provide for my family. The first phrase, because I have to, seems reasonable and it does have to be done. However, because I have to typically involves an attitude of begrudgingly having to go whether you want to or not. The second phrase, I'm helping to provide for my family, indicates that you've connected to a deeper value as to the reason why you are going into work and why you are doing what you're doing. In both examples, the individual likely ends up at work. However, the second example of I'm helping to provide for my family typically would make the job experience much more enriching or meaningful despite the type of work, because that individual has connected it to a deeper meaning, such as an importance to provide for their family. The person in the first statement that says, because I have to, oftentimes is looking at the short-sighted view of their situation. It is merely a task that has to be done that they feel forced to do and have no choice in the matter. Those feelings usually turn into frustration, irritation, agitation, or resentment. Life becomes a long, difficult journey for those type of individuals in the first statement that feel forced and obligated to do things in life. Those who typically connect actions, no matter what they are, whether they feel pleasurable or not, once connected to a deeper value, it is the commitment to doing those actions because of the deeper value that makes whatever experience they're going to much more meaningful and fulfilling, even under the most difficult or challenging circumstances. Here's another example that I often share with clients, and this is the topic of exercising. Typically, two different statements that are frequently said is, I want to lose weight, versus a more value-based statement, which is, I know good health is an important part of overall wellness. The two statements are not necessarily better or worse than one another. The second one has connected to a deeper value that they know the importance of good health. The first statement is specifically tethered to a particular outcome that's attempting to be achieved. Now, that's not good or bad. However, many of us know that losing weight and the outcome of being dependent on losing weight for the reason of doing exercise can be a slippery slope, especially if you do not begin to experience results. Many people end up stopping exercising. However, the other statement, an individual would continue to exercise with or without losing weight because they know the principle of good health is involved in continuing to exercise as part of overall wellness. Another example can be something like this. In this example, spending time with family, you may have one individual that states that they need to spend time with their family because they feel guilty, versus a second statement, which is, I get to spend time with and appreciate those who are important to me. In the first example, the individual is spending time because of the emotion of guilt which they are experiencing. The doing of the action is to get rid of or to extinguish the guilt that they feel, as opposed to the second statement, which the individual is spending time because of the importance that family means to them and the importance of appreciating time. There can be hundreds of other examples, so feel free to come up with your own. This might be a time as well to ask the client if they've ever done any actions using those statements in the first category versus doing something in the second category when they've connected it to something deeper. This can be of great value and provide a lot of insight to the client as they begin to think about those times in their life where they've done things merely because they've been forced to or obligated to, versus things that they have done because they've believed in it or they've wanted to because it's meant something important to them. The activity that you'll want to do at this point in quadrant number 4 is to begin to make a list of meaningful actions. If you find that the client is somewhat struggling to begin the list, refer back to your notes that you took in quadrant number 1. You should have plenty of examples at this point of who or what is important to them and begin to ask them very solution-oriented questions of things that they enjoy doing or that are meaningful, whether it is with the people who are important to them or things that they do that are important to them, such as in the what category. These can be used to describe meaningful actions in their life. Here's a list of possible meaningful actions that I've come up with briefly. Some people might mention such as time with family, service to others, walking the dog, going to work, or attending church or spiritual services. Continuing in the vein of a solution-focused questioning, continue to ask what else. Make an exhaustive list of meaningful activities to this individual and keep going as long as you can. The reason behind this is that this will help serve this individual as they attempt to break the pattern in quadrants 2 and 3. Having a list of meaningful actions that they can begin to draw from will be very helpful for them. Once you've created this list, you'll then go on to connect quadrants 4 to quadrants 1, where you originally started with the values. That connection process will be covered in the next video.